What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to make a mobile responsive menu using JavaScript. So this is going to be the desktop version. This would be your typical menu. You'd have your logo over here, your links to your other pages over here. But then as you make the window smaller, you get the little hamburger button, and boom, your little menu pops in there. So it's got a nice little animation on it. This is really simple to do, guys. Anybody can really do this. This is like the basic way that I'm going to show you is how I do it on any website that I personally build using, if I'm ever building one with just HTML and CSS and JavaScript. This is how I make my mobile menus. So I think I have this one set up to like 900 pixels. Yeah, something like that. It's like 900 pixels, and then once it gets to 900, all devices 900 pixels and down, the mobile menu will start. I feel like that's like a pretty good starting point to do it for most devices. So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll get started here. So I'm going to X out of this one and let's make this from scratch together. So I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to call it JS Mobile Menu. And so I open up a new window here in my Visual Studio Code. Drag our folder in there. And let's go ahead and make our files. So we're going to make an index.html file. And then we're going to make a style.css. And then we're going to make an index.js. And we're going to go ahead and get our boilerplate code in here. And we're just going to name our document. We'll just keep it simple, JS Mobile Menu. And this will be a good one, guys. Like, to just, if you ever forget how to do it, just either come back to the video or build this with me, push this to GitHub if you know how to do that. Save these little code snippets for the future so you can just quickly implement your mobile menu. Okay. Let's go ahead and link our CSS. So we'll do a link tag and link up style.css, and then let's link up our script or JavaScript. So we'll go script source, and we want to link our index.js. And let's go ahead and we'll share our screen here so that we can watch this be built in real time. Okay, at least as well as we can. Alright, I'm going to make my code a little bit smaller because we want to have enough room to show the big size of our menu. And then let's go into our CSS and do a CSS reset. So let's say margin 0, padding 0, box sizing border box, and I want my font family to be Arial. Alright, guys, so let's start with building the HTML for our menu, and then we'll style it up. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a nav tag for navigation, and we'll give it a class of main nav. Okay. And then within our navigation menu, we're going to have a logo and then a menu. So I'll make a div, and I'm just going to name my div. I'm going to give it a class of logo container. And then in it, we'll just put a paragraph with the class of logo. And then we'll just write out logo, just some dummy text. There's our make-believe logo where our logo would go. And then we'll go ahead and we'll make our menu. So we'll have an unordered list, and we'll give it a class of main nav menu. And then we'll give it an li, and then within our list item we'll do an anchor tag because there's going to be links in here, and then we'll do a placeholder in our href, so just the hashtag, because our links are not going to go anywhere. This is just a little practice page. And we'll give our first link the text of home. So there it is. And then in each of our links, we're going to actually give them a class name. So let's say class main nav link, and that'll just let us style it easier later on. And let's add like 3 more links. So I'm just going to copy this down. Got home, about, and then we'll say blog and contact. Okay. So we're getting there. Got a little bit of a menu going on. Let's go ahead now and we'll add some styles because this is pretty ugly, pretty plain looking. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to say all anchor tags on my page globally, so all my link tags, I want them to have a color of white, which means we're not going to be able to see them for a second, but don't worry, we'll fix that. And we want to do text decoration none because I don't want that underline around them. Okay, so they're still here, they're just hiding. There they are. And then the next thing that I want to do is I want to grab our main nav, so our nav tag, our whole main menu, and I want to say display flex, and let's make this dark for right now just so you guys can see everything. Sorry about that. Just for now. So there we go. So we're going to display flex, so that puts everything side by side, and then we want to align items center and justify content space between. Padding, we're going to do 2 rem top and bottom. So 1 rem is 16 pixels, so that's 32 pixels of padding top and bottom. And then we'll bring everything in on the sides about 6 rem. There we go. So just making like a little container. And then let's make our background color for our nav 333. And we'll change this color of our links back to white. So now we got them, or everything in our nav is side by side. So now we just got to make all of our links side by side. So we'll be using Flexbox to do that as well. Before that, let's just do a little bit of styling on our little logo over here. Let's make it look a little better. Let's say font size 24 pixels. Font weight 700. And color will be white. Okay, and let's move on to our little links over here in our other menu. So this isn't the links that are in our UL, our main nav menu. So while we're here, let's copy this over, and we'll select it with the dot selector. Look at the class. And main nav menu, we're going to do the same thing. We'll say display flex. Now they're all side by side. Say align items center and justify items. Oops. Justify content, sorry. Justify content center. All right, so they're all side by side. They're still looking ugly. They're all scrunched together and they have those annoying little bullet points, so we'll get rid of those. So let's say li list style type, done. And then we'll say, let's style up our little links with the class now. So the class that we put on our links was that main nav link class. So let's just grab that, select it. And let's say we want padding for our links to be 0. And then 1.5 rem left and right. So that'll space out our links, give them some breathing room. There we go. That looks better. And then let's do font size 18 pixels. And then let's do text transform. Let's do uppercase. There we go. So all of our, at least like back in the day, I don't think it's that common now, but back in the day, like all the menus looked like this. Like in the 2010s, they like all had the same dark background and like text that looked like this. But I don't know. It's from when I was growing up, so it looks nice to me. It's really not modern anymore, but let's do one more thing. We'll do letter spacing 1 pixel. Space out the letters a little bit. That looks cool. There we go. We have our old, kind of outdated looking menu, but looks good to me. Now, this is our menu, guys. So right now, this is our menu, but if you see, like if we go right click and click inspect and we bring it down to like an iPhone size, that doesn't look so hot. Not looking good. So that's where for devices, we're going to say 900 pixels and lower is going to have the mobile menu. And then once you get above 900 pixels, which is most tablets, it'll be showing the regular menu. So doesn't look good now, but we'll fix it. So the first thing that I want to do, guys, is we're going to make our mobile menu button with just HTML and CSS. We're not going to bring over any... a lot of people usually bring over like Font Awesome or some kind of clip art and paste it in here, but that's not necessary. We don't need to do that. So let's go to we'll go to our HTML first and code that up. So I'm going to go above our nav, above everything, is where the mobile menu button is going to go. So I'm going to make a div, and it's going to have a class of mobile menu button. And then I'm gonna make 3 divs with a class of btn line, so button line. So it's gonna be 3 lines. We're gonna make the little hamburger symbol with just some divs and some background color and some height. So there we go. And we can't see anything yet because it's hidden and it's probably blending in with this color. But we'll add some styles to it and make it look good. So let's go to our CSS, and we'll say, let's do our button lines first, so we can add some color to that. So let's say .btn line. Say height 3 pixels, width 25 pixels, and background color for now we'll just do something crazy so we can see where it is. Green. And you can see it's up here, guys. That's our little line. We're going to fix it. I just want to see where it is, okay? And all of our lines are smushed together right now, so it's making like this big line, but they're all 3 of them are there. And then let's do margin 5 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixels left and right. There we go. So that's how you make a little hamburger menu with just CSS, guys. That's a good skill to have. And then now we have to let's grab the div that they're in, the actual container, the mobile menu button, and we'll add some styles to that itself. So let's add our dot selector. And let's say position, absolute. And then let's say top. So position absolute, guys, why we did that, we brought it by doing that. We brought this button completely out of the flow of like the web page or the document. And that's why like it's basically when you put position absolute like that, you're saying like, hey, ignore this element, just put it wherever. Like don't give it any respect. So that's why this got sucked up here, because the rest of the code was like, oh, this thing doesn't even exist. Poop, even though it is there, we see it, right? But that's why that happened. So let's go top, 32 pixels. So we want this to be 32 pixels from the top. That's why it dropped down. Now it's in line with our menu. And then we want to say right 20 pixels. Okay, so now it's over here. Because we said top 32, that's why it dropped down 32 pixels. And then this is the right side of the page. So we said we want it to be just 20 pixels away from the edge of the right of the page. That's why it went all the way over here. Okay. And then we want to say cursor pointer, because we want to get that little pointer. Even though like most of the time our users aren't going to be viewing it like this on a desktop, but still a good little thing to do. And then we want the Z index of this thing to be 2, because we want this to always be on top of all elements no matter what. We want to make sure it stays on top, visible. And then what we want to do is we want to say display none. Okay, because we don't want this to show on the desktop version. So that's good. That's gone. We know it's there. Our styles are all set. We're just going to display it none until we want to see it. And we're going to make it visible by using good old CSS media queries, okay? So let's go ahead down here, make a little comment, and we'll say, hey, this is where our media queries begin. And there's really only going to be one that we add. This is a really small, simple little project, but again, if you guys are trying to learn JavaScript and you're struggling a lot and you haven't spent the time to learn HTML and CSS and this is really confusing you, this is a great sign that you need to go back and start with the basics, okay? Don't just try to be a programmer right away. If you're going to do web development, you got to learn this stuff first, okay? Trust me, it'll make your life a lot easier. All right, let's go at media, max width, and what did we say we're going to do? 900 pixels. So this code says, hey, everything 900 pixels and below is going to be styled a certain way, depending on what we want to put in here in these little brackets, okay? That's all that means. So let's say we want our mobile menu button. So we want to do that in main nav first. So let's do this. We'll just say .mobile menu btn. And we want to display that as block. We want to put it back on our page. There it is. And perfect. This is 900 or less. So awesome. We can just keep it like this. That's good. Let's go down now. That's all we really have to do because all of our styles are pretty much set there. And we'll leave it green for now. We'll change the color of it in a second though. Let's do our main nav. And so we have everything displayed flexed, so everything is side by side. But remember, we want our mobile menu, everything to be underneath each other and stacked so that when we bring our menu out, it'll look good. So we're going to go from flex back to displaying everything block. So let's say display block. So we want you guys to stack up on each other. That doesn't look right yet because we still have margins and paddings on other stuff, but we'll fix all that. But that's the first step. We'll go display block. And then let's go ahead and we'll say position. We're going to put this position absolute. And then we're going to say top 0, left 0. And then we're going to change our padding. And we're going to just say 2 rem top and bottom, 4 rem left and right, because we don't want our stuff pushed over too much. And then we can give this some opacity. We'll say 0.9 so that this is a little bit see-through. Doesn't really make a difference now, but like usually when you have a full website that has one of these like mobile little navs that pop out, you can like kind of see through the menu. You can see your links and everything really well, and then you can see the rest of the website kind of like behind it, like faded, and that's just this opacity here. And then let's keep going. So let's do our... All right, guys, so now let's do our main nav because these are still side by side. So we have to do our main nav menu now. So let's say .main nav menu. That's our UL or unordered list. And we also need to display that block. So let's say display block. There we go. So now everything is stacked. We're getting there, right? You see the design coming in. Let's style up the logo a little bit. Let's say .logo, padding bottom, 20 pixels. And then let's do our list items. So we'll just say, let's select them with our, with the class. Actually, did we? I don't think we put a class on the list items. We didn't, so that's fine. We'll just say li. Doesn't matter for this project. Obviously, if you had a bigger project with multiple list items, you would put a class to separate them, but we'll just say li, and we'll say list style none, and we'll say padding 10 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixels left and right, so that'll space them out a little bit. That's good. And then we'll say we still have a little bit of padding here because remember we put padding on our links to like space them out from each other. That's what's causing that. So it's this main nav link up here that's kind of still uncentering everything. So let's fix that. Say main nav link padding. Let's just say 0. Save. There we go. Now everything is like uniform in line. Delete the rest of that code because we're not going to be manipulating it. And you can see now that we have our menu starting to form, okay? So we're almost there. We're getting there. Let's change the color of this, though, because we don't actually want that to be green. Let's make that 333 because we want it to be kind of dark because we're just going to have this white background, so that looks better. And then we'll fix this a little bit because now we got to make it taller and we got to fix the width on that. So let's go back to our main nav. And let's say we want this to take up, let's say width 70% of the page when it's out. There we go. And then let's do height. We want to take up 100% of the page. So it just looks better. It looks kind of, doesn't look great on like this bigger screen, but on mobile, it'll make more sense to just do it that way. What else? I think that's pretty much it. So now, guys, what we need to do to make this actually functional is we'll use some CSS to push our menu out of the way. We'll use like transform, translate. And what we'll do is we'll shove this way out of the way so it's not even on the screen. It's still there, but it'll be like so far like off the page that you won't be able to see it. And then we'll add some CSS or some JavaScript to our little menu button up here, to where whenever you click this thing, it'll come in, it'll appear, and then when you click it again, it'll disappear. And that'll be like the main functionality for the menu. So to do that, we're going to make a class. We'll just add a class onto it to make stuff show. So we can literally go into our CSS. And we'll go down to our media queries and make it. So on our main nav, we're going to say, well, first let's get this out of the way. We'll go to main nav and we'll say transform. And then we'll say translateX. Whoops, that's not right. TranslateX. And we'll say minus 900 pixels. Because that's what we have our media query set to. So get that off the screen. So we save, and again, guys, it's still, just to show you, it's still on. Well, all that does is it, like, pretend the page just keeps going on even though it's not fully out. It just keeps going on and on into, like, another universe or something. And when we translate exit, we just shove it out of the view. So, like, we can't see it, the users can't see it, but it's still there. Okay, that's all we did. And then let's say that, let's make a class down here, and we'll say dot main nav dot show. So the dot show class, whenever the dot show class is added to main nav, we want to do the same thing but the opposite. We want to do transform translateX, and we'll just say minus 20 pixels. Let's bring it, in other words, like bring it all the way back, like 880 pixels back the other way. So just to demonstrate how that works, let's go put the show class on the main nav and see if it appears like it should. So this is doing it without JavaScript, the undynamic way. Hey, there it is. So we know that's working. That's a good way to test your ideas before you even write JavaScript. Make sure that if you put your class on the thing without JavaScript, it actually behaves how you want it. Okay, so it is. So that's good. So let's delete it because we only want to add that class when we click this little button here, right? So let's go ahead and go to our JavaScript, and we're just going to write a few lines of JavaScript, nothing serious. Well, what we need to do first is select our menu button. So let's put that in a variable. Let's say const menu btn equals document dot query selector, and we want to select our mobile. Well, let's make sure we get this right. Our mobile menu btn. Okay, step 2, we want to add an event listener that's going to listen for when we click on this thing. So let's say menu button dot add event listener, and we'll say click, or whatever. If you're on mobile, we'll just be tapping it, same thing. And then we'll say function, attach a function to that click event. Now within our function, we want to select our main navigation. So this thing, we want to select our navigation itself with another variable. So let's say const, and we'll say main nav equals document dot query selector, and then I believe it's just main nav, but we'll copy paste it to be certain. Okay. And then we want to say below it, we'll just say main nav dot class list dot, and we're actually going to use dot toggle, because what toggle allows you to do is to add a class and remove a class every time you click something. So it'll fire off whenever you want. And then we want to toggle the show class. Okay, so let's try that out. Boom, click it again, gone. And that's it. That's the basics, guys. So we can even make this look a little better. If you remember from our example when I first showed you, we can add like a little animation so that it just comes in a little bit smoother. And we're going to use that on our CSS. So let's go below our transform translate, and we're going to put a transition on this thing. And let's say transform 0.5 seconds. Ease in, out. Oh, see, you got a little preview of it right there. So let's click on it now. Boom. How professional does that look? I mean, this doesn't look great, guys, but you can implement this into whatever design you're building currently, and make it. You're gonna have your own class names, but just kind of follow what I did, and that's how you do it, guys. That's how you make mobile menus. So it's pretty simple. Doesn't take too much time. Of course, if you're using like Bootstrap or whatever, you should just use their way of doing it, but if you're just making a simple HTML CSS website or page, you need a mobile menu. That's how you do it. So I do want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.